Okay, it's now 3 o'clock. Welcome, everyone, to our session today, the third of a series of five webinars on effective character formation, masterclass on character formation. And today we're going to talk about something that is very urgent, very important, very relevant today, because we are dealing with a generation today of young people who are grappling with mental health. Many years ago, when I was a young teacher, we never even had to talk about this. I mean, I'm sure many of you did not even experience mental health breaks. Now we keep on hearing about it. Students, teachers clamoring for mental health breaks. This is something that is happening everywhere. Private schools, public schools, rich students, poor students, everywhere. This is happening. It's almost like it's a pandemic. After the pandemic of the COVID-19, what followed was, well, what was happening during that time was a pandemic of isolation. And then we got back to the classroom, and many people were not ready or have forgotten. Some students have even forgotten how to deal with other students, with other people. And then you have complications. So, today, all over the world, this is a problem that needs to be addressed. Our school has to be a welcoming place with a healthy climate that will make the students want to come, want to attend, want to spend the whole day. And for that, we will have to be deliberate. We have to put in the conscious effort, even systematic effort in making our places, our classrooms, our schools resilient learning communities with attention to mental health, the mental wellness of people. It's a crisis. There's just no other way to put it. Just the other day, um, we were disturbed here in the place where I'm staying in because suddenly somebody sent a video of a student hanging by the ledge of the 18th floor of the building, just two, three houses away from here. A student wanting to commit suicide. And he was hanging there by the ledge for an hour, for more than an hour. Our chaplain, the priest who stays here in the center where I live in, and accompanied by one of my friends, they had to go there to try to reach out to the boy, first year student, depressed, wanting to kill himself. Thankfully, they were able to get him out of the ledge. He had to be brought to the ICU, and a psychiatrist had to attend to him. And I think he was told to stay in the hospital for at least the next 6 weeks. And it's happening everywhere. It's happening everywhere. You read the newspaper, you see in the social media of suicides, cases of suicide happening. It's a crisis that we teachers have to really be very conscious of creating a welcoming classroom, a school that is a haven for the students, that they would want to be there. We cannot just anymore say, that's not my job. That's for the guidance counselor to work out. That's not my task. That's for the no. We all now have to be aware and then run our classes like as if we are managing students with mental health issues. Because chances are there are students there inside the classroom who may really be grappling with issues. An estimated 6 million Filipinos are living with depression or anxiety disorders, making the country one of the highest prevalence rates in the Western Pacific. Just last night, I was dealing with two students who, well, they believe they have mental health issues because they're having a tough time coping with academics. One of them said he would wake up at 3 a.m. thinking about the academics, the problem in school. He does not feel well mentally. He feels so stressed out, pressured, and is thinking of shifting to another course. Another student that I was also just dealing with last night said the same thing, and they didn't talk with each other. It's happening. You may not know it, but that student inside your classroom may actually be doing self harm, may actually be entertaining thoughts of ending his life. What will you do if you know that you are dealing with a person who is in a crisis? I know what you're going to do. You're going to try to be very understanding, patient, kind. You will not shout, scream, or yell. You will try to talk to that person. For education to be effective, it has to be personal. We don't just see class numbers. We don't just see class lists with names. And some of them with faces that we remember, many others, they are just names. Our classroom has got to be a real community with personal relationship that we try to develop with every single student entrusted to our care. Remember what we have been saying in this series. You are not just given a subject to teach, you are entrusted with people, human beings, students, to be the second parents of. Especially so now when we are dealing with this kind of crisis. Among working adults, 41% report feeling anxious, higher than the Asian average. We are talking about you and I now, the professionals. Prevalence of burnout is notably high. 70.7% of Filipino respondents reported high to very high levels of burnout. And in addition, 62.67% experienced severe or worse anxiety. 64.07% severe or worse depression, and 46.55% severe or worse stress. What am I saying here? Please tell your administrators, your principals to take care of you. Because if you yourself are burnt out, depressed, anxious, problematic, how can you now create a classroom with a healthy climate? We have to take care of each other. And administrators have to take care of the teachers so that we teachers can take care of the students who need us most. In fact, many of these young people, they get into depression, especially because of maybe problems at home. They have difficulties dealing with the parents, with the siblings. And then they come to our classroom, and the last thing they'd ever want to experience is to be shouted at, to be yelled at, to be screamed at. So I hope even just that simple suggestion we all follow. No more shouting, screaming, and yelling. And then understanding, being very understanding, being very patient. Patience is the one of the most difficult virtues now for everyone, not just for teachers. Well, especially for teachers because we're dealing with 30, 40, 50, sometimes even more students inside the classroom. Experts studied this and they discovered four causes of mental health issues. Number one, social media and the smartphone. That is the culprit. As I said many years ago, we didn't even have to talk about mental health issues, mental health break, and mental health wellness. We didn't even have to talk about these things. What, therefore, is the difference? Well, now you have students who are so immersed in social media and technology, gadget. We talked about that in yesterday's session when we tackled the three essential virtues for the digital generation. That is what is causing a lot of anxiety, especially when they start comparing themselves with their friends who post about the vacation, who post about their OOTD, who post about the food that they're about to take, and that is causing a lot of these mental health issues. Not to mention, of course, their immersion in technology, the smartphone. Here's another one: gloom and doom narratives. That too is causing the mental health crisis. As we mentioned in the session yesterday, you go to primetime news, you read the newspapers, you go to Facebook, Twitter, and you're going to read about the wars going on in different parts of the world, the political bickerings, the fightings, camps trying to destroy each other, people trying to destroy each other's reputation. All these we are subjected to. And as I mentioned in the session yesterday, the young people are affected even in a more grave way than you and I, adults, are. So it's really possible that you can have a a young person today thinking that, wow, the world is so dark, so lousy, so dirty. So the gloom and doom narratives, they are all contributing to the negativity, the bad vibes. And if you are subjected to so much of this, um, 24/7, then you can imagine the effect on people. Here's number three. Let's face it, academic achievement pressure. The young people are pressured to do well, to perform well. Um, I mentioned I had to deal with two students who think that they need a mental health break because they cannot hack it anymore. They suffer a lot because of this academic pressure. And we, during the pandemic, we didn't stop teaching, right? We continued teaching, even if you and I, teachers, really were not trained to give online classes. But we had to because the school needed to continue surviving. But not only that, because we didn't want the students to stop learning. And it was very tough for many of us teachers because we were not trained to teach online. But we did anyway. But please don't forget, it was also very tough for the students because they also were not trained to study online. And yet forced ourselves, we forced ourselves to do it. That is a lot of pressure. And here's number four that the experts say um, is responsible for the mental health crisis that we see today. Parenting styles have become very, very different. And there are many parents who don't know what to do. I mean, uh, just put it this way, there are many parents, for example, who don't know how to stop their kids from playing computer games, from being addicted to the gadget, to the tablet, to the cell phone. Good families, they would usually have rules at home. No more cell phone after 9 o'clock, like that. No? But not all families have that. Some parents don't have any rules for their kids about the use of cell phones. So you can have a kid today who is listening to his music from the cell phone the whole night, who is playing computer games, video games in his cell phone until 3 a.m. You can have kids who may be scrolling um, in their through their Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok until 2 a.m. because some parents don't know how to supervise the use of gadgets. They cannot because you know what happens in many houses when the parents confiscate the phone, the tablet, the gadget, you have a kid who will throw a tantrum and be going wild um, in anger and frustration. And it's a battle in many houses. The battle of the mom telling the son, John, baba ka na rito, kain na tayo. And John will not come down. The mother has to repeat that 22 times. And that's what's happening in many houses. The tug of war of the parents trying to get the kid out of video game addiction, out of social media addiction. These four things are responsible for creating this mental health crisis that we see in the world today. The truth is, digital stars are real, tech anxiety is real, tech addiction is real. It's happening. So then, what do we do inside the classroom? Here's the main idea. A person's mental wellness is not only influenced by biological or psychological factors, but also by moral and spiritual well-being. So it is not enough that we, talk about okay, mental health. Therefore, we have to um, give him medicine, give him medication um, to address biological needs. No, it also has a lot to do with moral and spiritual well-being. In fact, if we make sure that a person has strong, healthy, moral, and spiritual formation, we have a better chance of making sure he will not have to deal with mental health problems. Sorry. In schools, we often address mental health with coping skills, right? Counseling, clinical interventions. But without an anchor in values and meaning, mental health remains fragile. And this is what many schools do. Ay, may mental health. padala yan sa guidance office for counseling, for clinical intervention. But if it's not anchored in values and having a sense of purpose and meaning in their life, in what they are doing, then mental health is very fragile. According to research in the Philippines, many student cases of depression involve unresolved guilt, shame, family betrayal, or moral confusion. So, one of the first things that we teachers have to do is to make sure that we do not fail in talking to students about being good and doing good. That's morals. That's moral formation. So then, here are some practical implications for our schools so that we are able to create a healthy school climate. Number one, moral clarity reduces mental confusion. We have to keep on teaching the students right from wrong, prudence, virtues, values, morals. When students know right from wrong and are supported to live it out, they avoid the mental strain of living in conflict with their values. That's why um, this is the reason why we have this series, Character. It's all about character all over again. To address the mental health issues, we've got to go back to developing the character of our students. Whatever subject we are teaching, we have to um, see to it that we get to talk to the students about being good, doing good, not cheating, not copying, not plagiarizing, that we insist always on their being upright. Now, this is in a crisis because we are living right now in a post truth era. This is how experts call this generation, this environment that we find ourselves in nowadays. It's called post truth era because we live in a world now where people can distort the truth, um, revise history, rewrite the truth. I mean, that's in fact born out of social media wrongly used, badly used. And so the students now can be very much confused about what is right or wrong because of what they read in social media, because of what people post in Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And who is going to teach them, therefore, the real truth? Well, it's supposed to be taught at home, it's supposed to be taught in church. And now we also have to say we have to teach it in school. What is really true, good, and beautiful. These are the things that the young people should learn inside our classroom. Whatever subject we are teaching, we should find a way of being able to insert these lessons of truth. What is moral, what is right, what is wrong, etc. Letter B, a sense of purpose protects mental health. Students who feel their life has meaning, they are able to serve, they're able to live their faith, they're able to develop relationships, they're able to discover what God calls them to, vocation. These students who are able to feel that their life has meaning are able to bounce back better from setbacks. You see, it's not just about addressing anxiety like that. It's about giving them the compass, the moral compass, that they will know what is right from what is wrong, what is good from what is bad, and then what their purpose is. For Catholic schools, for example, you are in the best position to make the students understand deeply that their sense of purpose is being children of God, created in the image and likeness of God. And then you have the Catholic faith to guide them in being able to discover that meaning, practice that faith, develop relationships not just with other people, with our family, but also with God, and then what God calls them to, their vocation. Letter C, conscience education is mental health prevention. We have to help the students develop or form a healthy conscience. Doing this will teach them to take responsibility without falling into excessive guilt. Mental health without moral health is like a compass without a needle. It cannot truly guide a young person through life's storms. So then, what can we do? Here are some strategies for integrating moral health into mental health programs so that our school is a healthy learning community, resilient, able to bounce back, able to um, face challenges, difficulties, not just in academics, but in life, in real life. And this is one of the things we need to teach our students, that in life there will be challenges, there will be problems, there will be difficulties, and they better learn how to cope and how to overcome whatever challenges that they may face. And how do we do that? Integrate moral health into the mental health programs. For example, we have to have character-based advisory programs. The class advisors, they play a very crucial, important role in forming the young people in morals, because it's the class advisor who is in a position to, for example, keep on reminding the students, class, please study hard, please be hardworking, please be industrious, please do not be lazy, please do not be addicted to video games, computer games. The class advisor is able to do that. And that's why it's very good if a school has what we call the virtue of the month programs, where every month you highlight a specific virtue that the class advisors will push, insist on, remind the students about. In very good schools, they would even make the students write reflection papers, write journals, maybe even write a motto related to the virtue of the month. And that motto they will write on every paper that they use, they submit. 1/4 sheet, half sheet, whole sheet, test paper. They write the virtue of the month motto on top of the page. That's a good school. And the class advisor is the one who oversees, who makes sure that this program is implemented properly. And then I enter the classroom, I will see there what is the virtue of the month. I will see the bulletin board with the quotation that talks about that virtue, that will motivate the students to live it, to think about it, to reflect on it. Another one, mentorship. And again, the class advisor usually is the one in a position to be able to do this. I'm sure many of you have experienced this. Student comes to you to tell you, sir, ma'am, I cannot tell this to my dad. I cannot tell this to my mom, but I will tell it to you. I'm sure you've experienced that. Some students find it easier to open up to the class advisor or to a teacher or to a mentor. And that's why there has got to be that kind of dealing relationship with the students, that they are not just class numbers, that some of them can approach us, to talk to us, to open up to us, even outside of the classroom. And they see us as a mentor, someone who can advise them, not just about academics, but even about anything that they may be going through. We would have been able to avoid many suicide cases if these people had somebody to open up to, if they had a mentor that they could have run to. And then we bring in faith and values integration. I mentioned earlier that Catholic schools are in the best position to be able to do this because it's very natural, it's very normal that we talk about faith, that we bring them to First Friday Mass, for example, or that we are able to tell them to go to the chapel. Faith and values integration, we're able to bring it in. But now, even if your school is not a Catholic school, well, the fact that the Philippines is a Christian country, that we are able to make them resort to prayer, to think about God, to think about bringing in God into their work, into their studies. And then another strategy is restorative discipline. We are not just there to punish. We are not just looking for students to sanction, to detain, to suspend, to draft from the rolls. That our disciplining is a way of helping them, forming them to become better. So, for example, a student is reported to have bullied a classmate. Well, we don't just, you're suspended one day. That will not cure the problem, that will not fix the problem. Okay, because you have been proven to have bullied your classmate, well, you are not, you have to face the consequence of your action. And the consequence of your action is you have to come up with a program or a project or a performance task that will um, fight bullying, that will counter the offense that you did, giving the person an opportunity to be able to practice the virtue that is opposite to the offense that he committed. That's a restorative discipline, and that is formative discipline. You know, I mentioned in previous seminars that if you go to the YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, where we also post the videos, the recordings of the sessions in this series, you will find there so many seminars that can help you get more ideas on strategies you can use inside the classroom, on creating a kind and caring classroom, which is also one of the topics of this series. And then there are many more there for class advisors. I have a number of sessions on the power of the class advisory to transform a school, the power of the class advisor to create a culture that is healthy, that is strong, because that is what the class advisors do. So I invite you, you can scan the QR code, or you can go to that website, the YouTube channel, and look for those sessions to learn more strategies. Okay, let's move on. The second part, from crisis to culture, a character driven framework for mental wellness. Remember that our title talks about character based mental wellness for resilient learning communities. We want to create really a healthy climate, a healthy culture. That is the bottom line. Teachers are in a position to create a culture, atmosphere, ethos inside the classroom. What is the climate inside your classroom? Here are things that should not exist in your classroom, um, things that you should remove in order to create a healthy climate. Here's one: it's okay to cheat for as long as you don't get caught. And it is something admired by students. We have to do away with something like that. We have to make sure our classroom does not have that kind of trait. Here's another one. People do things on the basis of threats, punishments, rewards, or recognition. It's like a surveillance environment. Like they will only do the right thing because there is a CCTV. They will only do the right thing because the teacher uh, is threatening suspension, even expulsion, even being dropped from the role. So they better behave. That is not a healthy culture. Here's another one. Each person cares only for himself or herself, and neither has the time nor strength to care for others. Bad sign of sick climate. Bullying happens. You either kill or get killed. You know very well. It's happening in many places. There's a lot of bullying. We have to put a stop to it. As I said at the start, we have to deliberately, consciously, systematically create a healthy climate that the students are not afraid to be there. But if there is bullying, they are scared. They don't want to go to school. Here's another one that we should do away with. We should make sure does not exist in our classroom. There is no time to read, to talk, to reflect. There are just too many things to do and too much haste. This is for the teacher. Teachers and or staff do not collaborate or discuss the solutions for their challenges. Everyone works individually. That's not healthy. Students and staff do minimum essential work. They miss school at the slightest opportunity to justify it. Bad. That's a bad climate. And students and teachers are afraid to say what they think if they disagree with their superiors. That is just an appearance of peace. All those put together, you have a very sick climate, culture, atmosphere, ethos. On the other hand, this is what we should foster. If our school is to be a place where mental health, wellness is assured. Here's the first one: academic integrity is highly valued, and students appreciate and admire their peers' well done work. They cheer for each other, they celebrate each other's victory, they support each other. Here's another very important ingredient to creating a climate that is healthy, culture that is positive. People's motivation stems from their own identity and integrity. They are and feel trusted. Teachers should feel this. Then they will be in a position to create a healthy, strong, um, positive climate. People care for one another with designated times, spaces, and activities to meet and share. Teachers, in fact, should love each other's company because they share the same ambition, goals, objectives, the success of the school, the success of the students. And that's why they form a strong community, which is a very clear sign of a healthy culture, healthy climate. In the faculty, the veteran student, sorry, among the students, the veteran students support the new students and they take pride in caring for and helping them. We can make this happen, but we have to do it deliberately. This doesn't automatically happen. We have to create, um, we have to systematically put this in place. I don't know, we come out with community building activities. We come up with activities that will build camaraderie, friendship among the students. The older one taking care of the younger ones, the older students feeling responsible for the younger students. That is a fantastic climate in a school. There is time for reading, reflection, and conversation. Haste and busyness do not rule the workplace. Teachers and staff typically collaborate, working together with openness to learning from one another. That is a fantastic atmosphere. Absenteeism is not an issue. People, teachers, faculty, staff come to work because they enjoy their job and take satisfaction in the good that they do. Imagine then the good that they can create for the students, and everything can be discussed, every voice is heard, and decisions can be made collaboratively with the stakeholders. All these put together, and you have a healthy, strong, positive climate, culture, atmosphere, ethos. We have to do this deliberately. Here's another framework that you can follow, the primed designs, the six primed design for character formation. This is a book written by Dr. Marvin Berkowitz. You know, I have a webinar on this 2-hour lecture on primed in my YouTube channel. You can visit it, look for it here, primed webinar, where I discuss in detail this primed framework. Um, the I invited two speakers from Spain to come over last March here in the Philippines, and they ran for us a 1 week intensive training on primed. And when I discovered it, wow, this is it. This is how we will be able to successfully um, form the character of our students. And informing the character of our students, then we take care of their mental health. Now, I don't expect you to appreciate fully Pride when I summarize it in a few minutes. As I said, we had 5 days of intensive seminar on this. But just to give you a background or quick description of the six designs, according to Marvin Berkowitz, if you want to make sure that you are giving effective character formation, these are the six things that you should be looking for or looking at and implementing in your school. Number one, prioritization. You've got to prioritize character formation. I look at the list of seminars that you give your teachers, and most of them are related to character formation. That means you prioritize it. I attend your faculty meetings, and most of the time, you're talking about values, virtues, core values, mm, virtue of the month, character. That means that's your priority. I go to some faculty meetings, and 90% of the time, they're talking about money, but fundraising, projects to be able to bring in funds. That's your priority. That's not character formation. So that's the letter P, prioritizing character formation. Number two, relationships. You've got to build relationships. Relationship among the teachers, relationship between the students and the teachers, relationship among the students, that you are creating a community, a caring community. And then you're going to reach out to the parents because they're the primary educators of the children. You are concerned about building relationships with the parents so that they collaborate with you. That's effective character formation. Intrinsic motivation or internalization. Students are going to do good not because of extrinsic motivation, punishments and rewards, but because you make them internalize the need to be persons of character. That's one of the most important things to make this pride successful. That you stop relying on threats, punishments, or rewards just to make the students do what you want them to do. But you find a way of making them understand why they have to be sincere, truthful, honest. They have to understand and internalize the need to be hardworking so that they don't resort to cheating. Intrinsic motivation. Number four, modeling. We also already mentioned this so many times in this past few sessions. The only effective way to give character formation is through the example of the adults. Modeling. Teachers, non-academic staff, janitors, security guards, maintenance men, ladies selling in the cafeteria, that they all model the virtues, the values that we want the students to practice. Empowerment is we empower everybody to do character formation. That we get even the parents, we empower them. The non-academic staff, the ladies in the registrar's office, we all tell them we are here to form the character of our students. All of us are involved in this task of forming character, showing them good example. That's empowering everyone. And then finally, the D is developmental pedagogy. This will not happen overnight. We are dealing with human beings who go through a different stages of development, but we've got to do it at every stage of their development. That's prime. So all these should be able to, all these frameworks that I described should be able to help us create a healthy culture. Well, very quickly, before we end, just some practical strategies to build a culture of care. You know the oxygen mask principle in the airlines, we're always reminded, please put on your mask before you assist somebody. Well, we teachers have to be have to take care of ourselves first. We have to be healthy mentally. And so the faculty room has to be also a thriving, um, positive culture, a place with positive culture, with healthy support. We have to help each other so that we can help our students. Here are some low cost, high impact strategies that some schools are using. In your school, try to have, even in your classroom, try to have a mental health corner or Zen zones where students can sit or stay for people to know that they need a bit of consolation, a bit of support, a bit of help. Some schools would have this. When you enter the classroom, you will see gratitude walls or wellness check-ins. How are you feeling today? The teacher asking the class, okay, is everybody okay? How are things with you? Anybody wants to share with us a concern, a worry? Because sometimes that's the only thing that people need, somebody to listen to them, somebody to hear them. Character and wellness integration in homeroom classes, in the advisory classes, peer-to-peer mentoring, assigning buddies. The buddy system continues to be a very important and helpful strategy. Wellness clubs, maybe you can make the students own this so that they will come up with activities that will address needs of the students. Well, we only have a few minutes left. Of course, we have to keep on training the teachers, the advisors. This mental health crisis is something new that did not exist years past. So, most likely, we may not even have in our program, in our list of trainings, anything related to this. But now I am saying we should. We have to think of how we can train our teachers, the class advisors in a special way. For example, how to detect a student grappling with depression, with mental health issues. And maybe even some sessions on what do you do if a student comes to you saying that he or she is depressed or he or she wants to commit suicide? Many teachers don't know how to react. And some exaggeratedly react, and it doesn't do any good. It doesn't help in any way. Okay, well, school heads, of course, should be the mental wellness champion. As the teacher inside the classroom is the mental wellness champion for the class. But we've got to help. We've got to make the administrators, the principals, be conscious of this, that it is a concern. It's a real challenge that is facing us. I'm not here to make you afraid. I'm just saying it's a reality now. We may not we may not have needed to address this some years back. This may not necessarily have been a concern 3, 4, 5 years ago, but today it is. It's a crisis. It's almost like a pandemic, and it's about time that we really put our act together and be very conscious of working things out so that we are able to create resilient learning communities with all the key players, teachers, students, and even parents provided with that mental wellness. Well, I can only wish you luck. There are many more things that we need to learn about this, but the first step is to be concerned, to care about this. Once we have that desire to care, many things will follow. We will come up with many creative ideas on how to go about making sure we're able to create this kind of healthy, strong, positive climate. Okay, well, thank you so much again for joining us today. In a while, you're going to see the link to claim your certificate. Thank you so much, everyone, and we hope to see you in our other future sessions. Bye, everyone.